Hello. It's fall and it's that time of year where we can pull out the pumpkin spice and fun warm tones for makeup and have some fun with that. And I recently did a YouTube live where I had everyone help me decide what palettes to pull and what palettes to store, because if you don't know, I'm in the process of moving and most of my belongings will be in storage for I don't know how long. And that includes makeup, because there's no way I can bring all my makeup with me where I'm going to be staying. So I have a little, well, maybe not so little, but I have a basket here of the palettes that I've kept out that'll be fun to play with this fall. So if you're interested in seeing what palettes will be coming with me on my uncertain journey, then stay tuned. By the way, if you're new here, hi, I'm Em and you're watching Makeup Break. If this is your first time here and you like what you see and you want to come and hang out again in the future, please be sure to click that subscribe button, click the like button, and also be sure to comment because that really helps me out. Let's get into it because I have a tendency of rambling on and not everybody likes that. So yeah, I'm gonna zoom out. This first palette is Juvia's Place the Nubian. It's actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I just filmed a Get Ready With Me, which might already be up, using this palette. I think this is a nice warm toned neutral palette, but it screams fall to me because it's got kind of those lighter orange tones like this one here and some of those deep brown and bronzy tones. I mean, it's neutral, it's fall. I mean, how can it not be? Next up is In the Balm of Your Hand. This one is their Greatest Hits Volume 2. Now, it's not necessarily fall, but it does have some of these berry tones, which I appreciate. And I'm keeping it out mostly for the blushes and this bronzer. I really like this Down Boy blush, this one here, this bright pink. I've really been into bright pink blushes lately. I don't know what that's all about because usually I like corals and peachy tones. Anyway, I'm keeping that out mostly for this bottom row, or here we go, bottom row, because I love those tones, but these are also nice for fall. Okay, this palette is everything. I've only used it a handful of times and I'm so excited to dive into it and play with it even more. This is the Kokie Pure Magic palette. The palette itself, looking at it, it's like, okay, what's so exciting about it? Everything. I love the colors. It doesn't scream fall at all to me, but these greens would be great this fall, and I can mix and pair them with some pinks and with some of these more peachy tones here. Even blue, like this deep blue, can be used in the fall to create some magical looks. So I'm not limiting myself to only fall tones and warm tones because that's very boring. I always look at it and it's just so visually appealing. I look at it and I see the possibilities of some gorgeous eyeshadow colors and combinations. Like this teal would be so pretty with this lavender. Not necessarily a fall look, but I'm living for that vibe. So I have this one out. Next up is this one from Pacifica. This is their hemp infused Cosmic Reflect. I used this in a YouTube live recently too. Again, it doesn't necessarily scream fall, but it does have some tones that play into fall themes, like these dark greens, even this coppery brown. I love this beautiful violet shade, this light orange with this green. That is a nice fall combo, and I actually enjoy using this palette and wanted to play with it a little bit more, which is another reason I kept it out. I think I did a short with some swatches on this, so if you're interested, go check that out too. Next up is this Revolution Makeup Revolution Pro Earth and Stone palette. I don't know if they still make these, but let me just say, it's so beautiful. I did a color stories challenge video using another palette from this series. It was like a blue one. The quality of Makeup Revolution is always hit or miss. I think these palettes had decent quality. I haven't played with this before on my eyes, I don't think. So I'm excited to dip in, like with this color here. I wasn't gonna swatch, but this color is like a nice lavender shift with some pink in it. And I can see so many pretty looks coming from this. Next up is a controversial palette, of course, but I love this palette so much. It's my second favorite ABH palette. This is the Subculture. I know, but I love it. Can I say any more? Grungy tones, total 70s vibe, but it screams fall to me because it's got the grungy browns, an orangey tone, a yellow tone with some of these more like muted cool tones, like this mulberry, a teal, this kind of darker sage kind of green, a purpley brown. Like, how can this not scream fall? And I have not played with this in so long, so I'm very excited to dip back into this because I love that color story. Next up is the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. May she rest in peace. Need I say more? How can I not include this palette? I have not given this enough playtime, to be honest. One thing that I'm enjoying about curating my collection for the season is the ability to dig in and play with things I haven't played with in so long. And the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette is one of those palettes that just has not gotten enough love. And I mean, she's gorgeous. She is gorgeous. There's so many beautiful, like, inky toned shades like this blue, and some of these shimmery tones, and some of these lighter shimmery tones. I mean, there's so many possibilities with that. It makes me happy. All right, next up is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. Oh my goodness, this has not gotten enough love either. I love gold tones, and I say this probably in every video where I mention this palette, but the main reason I bought it was because I was super influenced by Vintage or Tacky, or Cora is her name, because she did a video putting this on, and she's got the most beautiful blue eyes, and some of these more muted mid-tone browns, that sort of thing, looked so beautiful on her that I was like, okay, I have brown eyes, but I don't care that my eyes will not look the same as hers. I have to have that palette. It's so beautiful. And I honestly have not given this enough love. And because it's gold tones and browns, I mean, fall. I mean, summer too, but definitely a good transition palette into fall. The next palette up is not fall toned by any means. It's a palette that's more just well-rounded. It's got colors that I could use for Halloween if I decided to do any funky Halloween looks, more wearable Halloween looks, that sort of thing. So I have the Raw Beauty Christie collab with Pure. Main reason for this is, again, because it's got well-rounded colors, matte tones that'll work really nicely for various looks. And then of course this side is warm toned, which, you know, it's kind of a basic warm tone palette, but it does have a yellow, which I like with the browns. It has some pinks that I could pair in with those browns as well, so it's a little bit of a softer fall look. So this one for me, I'm excited to dip into a little bit more as well, because I've only played with it a handful of times and I want to see my makeup getting used. All right, next up is this Juvia's Place, the Nubian Glow palette. I have like all of these in 6-pan palettes. Oh, they're all so pretty. Burnt orange, gold. I'm not the biggest fan of glitter, but even then it's like a orangey gold glitter, and I'm like, ooh. Actually, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's add some gold, like this orangey gold glitter to my lid right now. I might have fallout later, but I don't care. That's beautiful. Okay, of course this screams fall to me. I mean, it looks beautiful in this fall makeup look, so yeah, I had to keep that out. Next is Melt Cosmetics Spoke Sessions palette. I did a whole color story challenge video on this palette. It doesn't necessarily scream fall to me at first glance until I think about these grungy tones here in the middle and then the golds, and it to me screams like early fall. This is not my favorite palette, but I definitely want to use it more because I do enjoy using it. Just a little bit more effort goes into making them work. Next is this Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions palettes. Yes, I know they don't make these anymore, but this palette has oranges, it has a yellow. I mean, I have a lot of yellows I'm noticing, but that's okay. It means I have choices and options. If one sucks, I can move to the next, right? But it's so small and compact, and I love peachy tones for fall. Really warm reddish brown here that's very rich, and then this kind of muted red color. I'm excited to finally dip into this. I've played with this one time before, and I have not had fun with it since. The same with the Emerald Obsessions palette. I mean, it's greens. And if you know anything about me and my YouTube journey, you'll know that greens are my obsession. So same thing here. There's a lot of jewel tones, but you can warm them up and make them more fall-like with some golds and with more grungy, warm kind of green tones. So this I'm excited to play with as well. Next up is the Milani Gilded Terra. Rich berry tones with some greens, and it has some warm, rich brown shades here. This gold is gorgeous, and this palette is so aesthetically pleasing to look at, in my opinion, that when I pulled it open, I was just like, yes, this emerald green is stunning. And imagine that with any of these other tones. Beautiful fall look. So I'm excited to play with that again. I have a basic palette. I almost always bring this with me when I'm traveling. This is the Dream Big palette by Tarte. Nothing about it screams fall to me, but it is one of those palettes that is a go-to for me when I'm traveling. So I do use it a lot. It's for basic makeup looks. Definitely keeping that out because, I mean, I might need it. Okay, this palette makes me giggle a little bit because I have not used it in much at all. But the reason for it is because I find these colors to be in other palettes, or I like my singles better. But I kept this out. This is a Morphe palette in 12P. It's a fully matte palette of all these like bright colors. It's got the bright red, it's got a bright yellow. I kept this out with the hope of playing with it for like a Halloween look, or I actually do have a couple of makeup looks in mind where I need matte eyeshadows and like a matte red, and that one kind of screamed out to me like, this one's not a bad red, so let's play with that. Next up is this formerly known as Strobe Cosmetics. It's Shroud now, but this is from when they first launched. It is their hotel palette. They did a collection inspired by American Horror Story. This one, it's a full shimmer palette, 5 pans, but it's beautiful. These create the most beautiful like single eyeshadow looks. So if I wanted this reddish tone all over the lid, I could do that and blend it out, and it looks really beautiful. These are nice for kind of like a go-to simple makeup look, so that's why I kept that out. I have no idea what's going on with Shroud, but there's another Shroud Cosmetics palette here. This is their collab with Batty Bean, Hallow Bean. It's their Halloween palette. Obviously that screams fall. I have not played with this at all on the eyes, and I've only swatched a couple of these shadows. I'm not going to swatch it now. I've been kind of hesitant to use this in videos because I don't know what's going on with Shroud, if they're still alive and kicking or if they're just kind of off the market because they haven't been fulfilling orders. People order palettes and they're not getting shipped out, and people are having to do chargebacks, so it makes me nervous that something's going on. I have no idea, so I haven't really wanted to play with them Shroud on camera for that reason, but I do want to play with that palette since I've already paid for it. It's already in my possession. I love it anyway. Next up is MAC. This was a limited edition. Do you remember this one? Reelers and Rockers eyeshadows. So it has some classic permanent collection colors like Carbon, which is their matte black, and then it's got a couple of other shades here that I think are also permanent collection items. But I thought this would be fun to keep out because they're metallic eyeshadows. They're, you know, copper, gold, silver, that sort of thing. And I do like a good metallic look here and there, and this is a good go-to for that. And again, MAC Carbon's always a great shadow to have out. Next up is Flower Beauty with their Wanderlust collection. This one is in Austin. This is probably my favorite palette from them. The packaging leaves a lot to be desired because it's totally broken, but I love this palette. The quality of these eyeshadows is phenomenal. Drew Barrymore just really did a great job in hiring people to create an awesome drugstore formula. It may not scream fall to you right away, but it definitely does to me because it's got the warm copper tones. It's got a nice matte mid-tone orange, kind of muted there, like almost like orange sherbet is what that reminds me of. But then these three colors are kind of the wrench, like the lime green, the purple, and the pinkish tone. But I've played with this so many times, and the color story works really well together, and I'm excited to play with that this fall because I have not played with it in a while. Another Flower Beauty palette is the Suns Blazing one. This one kind of reminds me of the Naked, which one was it? Naked Burn? Naked whatever fire, I don't know. But it was that really warm toned one that they came out with several years ago. This one kind of reminds me of it, but it's brighter because it's got brighter yellows and it's got pink. This one I've played with a couple of times, and every time I've done a look with it, it's been beautiful. It's warm toned, so it's fall for me. I mean, need I say more? Next is this Makeup by Mario, the Master Metals mixing palette. Similar to that MAC one that I pulled out, it's always nice to have metallics, but this one you can use wet, and it has this little well here that you can do the mixing in. And I have not played with this yet, and I've been wanting to, and I feel like, I mean, metallics during the fall And even going into winter, I mean, why not? Next is this Fantasy Makers palette. So every year Wet n Wild does Fantasy Makers, but it's like special for Halloween. They came out with this one a while back, and it's their, what do they call this? Pick Your Poison palette. I love this color story. It's on the more colorful end of warm tone. So I'm excited, very excited to play with this. Like this bright orange is screaming out to me right now. I really want to play with that. And it's shimmering, and it's got a little bit of like gold in it, and then this kind of mid-toned burnt yellowy orange in the middle here. Oh my gosh, I want to play with that. I'm so excited about this palette too. I almost went and dipped into that today. Next is this NYX Ultimate Shadow Box. This one is the Ultimate Utopia. This one's the smaller one. Kind of the same with that Magic palette from Koki. It doesn't necessarily scream fall to me, but it's so aesthetically pleasing. I mean, there are some really nice fall looks you can come up with using this palette. I don't care if it's not really a fall palette. I do see this being more of a spring palette, but I want to play with it, so I kept it out. I also kept out this palette. It's the Viseart Pro Neutral Matte. This one's just a good solid go-to when I want something basic. I just keep this with me at all times because it's just a great palette to have on hand for blending out things when I might not have the right tone to blend something out. This is a good fallback. I have an e.l.f. palette. This one is the Mad for Matte. Similar situation with the Viseart where it's just nice to have a matte color to blend things out with. It does have a couple shadows in here that would be great for fall, like this green and this orange, and yeah, so I'm just like, why not? Finally! How could I not have this palette out? Good old-fashioned pumpkin spice palette from Too Faced. That smells divine. Anything else scream fall to you? I mean, how could this not? These are all the palettes that I've dug out to play with, to kind of hyper focus on this fall season while everything's packed up and in storage. If there's any particular palette you want to see me play with, be sure to comment below and let me know. And then also, if you want to see a short with swatches, or just let me know. I mean, I can do it in a live, I can do it in a short. It doesn't matter. I'm here for the content. I'm here for fun. I'm here to play with makeup. And I'm so excited to play with makeup this fall with my curated collection. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, leave a comment below. And I will see you in the next one. Stay electric as always. Mwah. Bye!